I
Was
was
there anybody
angry,
who
man.
tried to pull you under their wing, man, to kind of calm you down or give you any type of mentoring?
Not for real, man. Nah, man, for real. The only time I was thinking about this. The only time that I got into a fight with a dude, and he thought he was real tough. He was about 6'4", 6'5", about 250, big dude. You know, I was about 180 at the time, and we got into a fight over some punk. It was punk that he thought that I was trying to get with, and I wasn't. But he was jealous, and we got into it, and I beat him up. I beat him up real bad, and I took his commissary. And the old dudes was like, "Yo," it was like, "Come on, Ramon, man, you can't beat him up and take his stuff, man. You got to give him his stuff back." And I was like, "Man, f him, man, get him." Like I was like, "I won. He a punk now." Like so, and I ended up giving it back. But that same dude, now watch you. Now mind you, that happened on a Wednesday. I beat him up bad. And he was one of those pretty dudes that's always in the mirror doing this, light skin, hazel eyes, had a nice little high top fade. You know, he was pretty. I busted his face all the way. He was beat up bad. Well, that Sunday morning, he poured some boiling hot water in my face. It was boiling hot water, Magic Save, and sugar that he had mixed up together in a jug, and he threw it in my face while I was asleep.
Oh,
Yeah. Dude, that was crazy. He burnt my whole face up. But I didn't realize I was burned until I had already, like, when he threw it in my face, I thought it was one of my dudes playing with me, because we used to do pranks and stuff on each other. And I woke up and was like, I sat up, I was like, oh, and like, because in my mind, I was like, oh, they got me, you know what I'm saying? But then I kind of smelled chemicals, and when I opened my eyes and looked up, I got punched. I was like, boom. So I was like, oh, and I smelled the chemicals, and I was like, oh, yeah. I said, okay, so the next thing, he got a hawk. I know he got a hawk. So I'm like, I roll out of the bed, and I come around to face him, because I'm like, you ain't finna kill me. And this dude just standing there looking at me with his fist balled up. Well, I jumped on him so fast, and by the time the police got to me, I was already smacking his face with a state boot. I had the heel of a state boot, and I was trying to crush his face in. And I remember I saw the CO come and grab my arm, and when he grabbed me by my shoulder, I pulled away. When I pulled away, I saw my skin peel off in his hand. And I was like, what the heck? And then I stood up, and then there was an old dude named Hollywood. He came up to me, and he was like, come here, man. And he grabbed me, dragged me in the bathroom. He turned on some water, and he put my face underneath the sink. And I was like, dude, what's going on? And he was like, nah, man, come here. He was like rinsing me off. And then he brought me out. And then like now I starting to feel that, like, I'm like, whoa, something's wrong, right? And then I'm like, oh, my face is just hurting. Then my throat started constricting, like I couldn't breathe. Then I passed out. I was always passing out, right? And when I wake up, I'm in the hospital. I was in the hospital, burnt up, man. He burnt my face up. Like, you really can't see it, but I can see it. But I got marks all over me, like from that whole incident. I spent 11 days in the OSU burn ward. That was
and
crazy.
for people out there who don't know about Magic Shave, black product. You know, I remember I got turned on to it because sometimes you couldn't shave because you get razor bumps. So you use
Right.
Magic
I
Shave.
can't say it.
Yeah, use
Yep.
that Magic Shave. But Magic Shave, over a period of time, it can kind of give you dark spots because it
Yep,
does
it does.
burn your skin. But if you leave Magic Shave on too long, it ain't
It
no
will
joke.
burn you
So,
up.
oh, I can only imagine. You mix that with oil and oh man, that's crazy,
Yeah.
man.
He got me on that one. And it took me
Wow.
a long time, but I still got light and dark spots on my face. Like, I got marks on my chest, on my neck, right here. Like, if you was close up, you could see it, man. But yeah, he got me good. And I suffered, for the rest of for the rest of the time that I was in prison, I could not, I couldn't go to sleep in a dorm. And I sleep real light, like, because I couldn't go to sleep. Like, the only time that I could go to sleep is when I literally had to have a dude sit on each end of the bed, right? And they would say, go ahead, okay, we got you. Go ahead and go to sleep. And that's the only time I could do it. And I had to do it in the daytime. I couldn't sleep at night. I would be up at night, like, just watching, scared to death, man. I was like, not even scared, but just
No,
that PTSD.
yeah, that's
You know
traumatic.
what I'm saying?
I mean, I tell people just in general in prison, you never sleep light. I mean, as soon as you hear that key, you jump up. As soon as you hear
Yeah,
do this, you jump up. So for a long time, I'd be like, you hear anything, you'd be like, you jump up because the door's cracked. You got to be ready. Somebody try,
yeah.
you never know what's going on.
So now imagine that with the trauma of what just happened to me. Add the trauma to that. You
Oh
know, so
man, that's
yeah, I
horrible.
was like for the rest of my even like you want to know what one of my biggest fears is when I was getting out, and I never really said this to anybody, is like when I got out of prison, I was afraid to be with a woman because you couldn't touch me while I was asleep. You just like if you touch me, like I would be afraid how I would respond because I'd be asleep, and if you touch me, I'd be, you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah,
it was weird, man. It's like it's something that I think that's gonna always be with me, you know.
yeah. That that peace state, and a lot of people, you take that for granted because sleeping is supposed to be your most peaceful time. When you're
Yeah,
kinda, like relaxing your mind, you're meditating, you're healing, you're regenerating, and all that is taken away behind bars, man.
yep, it is. So that was pretty much um when I was in the state, I did roughly around, I say 8+ years, like 8 years and change, maybe, right? Maybe about 8 years. So that's what I did. Then I ended up getting out, and I ended up moving in with my dad pretty much. And it was just a lot. Like I skipped a whole lot, man. I skipped a whole lot. Like there's some stories that I could tell you about the state prison system. I got into gangs. I started, I was a GD, and I was second in command. I was a leb. Like I just a whole lot of stuff. I did 11 months in the hole for some gang related activity. Like I was organizing some stuff. I beat some dude. Like it's just I'm not glorifying the prison, but it was a lot that happened in the state prison system. But it was basically preparing me for the feds because the state prison system is rough in itself, and I've been through some tough prisons: Leb, Lancaster, um, Chile, Orient. Like those are all pretty, like, we was going hard.
So you
But then
you seen how young men get in there and just basically get lost in the system.
yeah, like man, because you know what, I seen both. I seen dudes come in and just kind of stay focused and trying to get themselves out and don't get caught up in everything. But then some dudes come in and just get lost up. They just get caught up in the system, man. I was pretty much one of them. Got caught up. I never really tried to get it together. You know what I'm saying? I was just in there doing time, trying to
Mm.
just yeah. So when I finally did get out, and I tried to do the right thing. Um, my dad, remember I told you my dad is a pimp, right? And when I got out, I got released to say I couldn't go home. It was a problem going home because my mom. So let me tell you how the Fed, I mean how the government work, right? The criminal justice system works. So when I was getting ready to get released, I couldn't go to my mother's house because my mother is a convicted felon, right? So they told me that I couldn't go home because she was a convicted felon for writing bad checks. And so I didn't have anywhere to go, right? So I wasn't even supposed to have contact with my mother. Like my mother, you know what I'm saying? So I ended up having to go to my dad. So I went to my dad's house, and he was the lady that he was living with was one of his hoes. And we were living, the house that we were living in was one of her tricks houses. And it was just a weird situation, man. It was just very weird. But the bottom line is, one night she gave me an ultimatum. She had been hitting on me the whole time that I was there, and I'd never do it. And she gave me an ultimatum: either give it up or get out. So I left. And when I left, my dad, he didn't have no understanding. I never really told my dad what happened because I didn't want to, like, I didn't know what, I don't know why I didn't tell him. I didn't think it was a good idea. I didn't want to cause no trauma, no trouble. So she told my dad that I was the one coming on to her, and that the reason why I left is because she threatened to tell him that I was hitting on her. And so when I went over to my dad's house for whatever it was, he confronted me about it, and I told him the truth. And she came in and she was arguing, like yelling in my face, and we was going back and forth. And then she jumped in my face, and I put my hand on her to move her out the way. And then my dad said, "Don't you put your hands on her," and punched me in the face. And then they jumped me. They just started hitting me, beating me, kicking me, and I blacked out. This time when I blacked out, I hurt him really bad. I beat him up really bad, and I was on parole when I did it. And I was like, man, I'm not going back to prison for this, not for this. So I went on the run, and I had a girl with me. She gave me a gun. We had her vehicle, and we just took off. We just went on the run. Like, we ended up being like, for real, like, I ain't never been a stick-up kid. Like, that ain't my thing. That's never my style. I was always a hustler. But at that moment right there, I ain't had no money. And all I had was the car, a gun, and a down-ass bitch. Excuse my language. And I just started sticking up, started doing stick-ups. And then we went all the way across the country. And I ended up in Texas. And we ended up we was in a hotel. This is my last couple $100. We were staying with her cousin. We had got into a fight at her cousin's house. Her cousin said that I couldn't come back, and I ended up getting kicked out of the house, and I didn't have nowhere to go. And I was like, man, like, you know what? I know what I got to do. So I decided to rob a bank, and I robbed this bank. I gave the teller a note. She gave me the money. I got the money, got in my car, drove to the hotel room, and that was it. When I started counting the money, I found a tracking device in the money. By the time I got to the door, the police was already there. They arrested me, because I made them chase me. They had to catch me, but they beat me up. And that's how I got introduced to the feds. I ended up getting 16 years, 7 months. That was my sentence. Damn. 16 years, 7 months.
Was that the deal?
No, the deal was, so here's the thing. The deal they offered me was 14. They offered me 14 years. And I was like, dude, the maximum is 16, 7. You know, I'm like, dude, I might as well just take it to trial and keep all my rights. Maybe something will come up. Yeah. Because the whole thing is, they charged me with armed bank robbery. Now, the story that I just told you, did you hear me say anything about a weapon?
No, you had a note.
Right. So this is what happened. When the police caught me, and this is a public service announcement. I'm going to say this, a public service announcement. You know that statement that says anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. This is why you don't say nothing until your lawyer tells you to say something. First thing, you never speak. You never speak. So what happened was when they arrested me, they took me downtown. I got caught. When they caught me, I had the gun on me. One of the cops asked me, "Hey, did you have that gun on you when you went into the bank?" And I said, "Yeah." And then after that, I never said anything else. The only thing I said was, "I need a lawyer. I need a lawyer. I need a lawyer." But they got me on tape saying that I had that gun on me when I went into the bank. So they charged me with armed bank robbery because I knowingly went into that bank with a weapon on me to rob it. Whether, you know what I'm saying, whether I used it or not, I just actually took it into the bank during the commission of a robbery. And that's how I got armed bank robbery.
Yeah, that added like 5 years.
7 years.
That's right, 7 years, because that's right. They gave they gave me 7 years. Yeah, 7 years for having a gun in the commission of a crime.
924C.
Yep, that's what they charged me with. Yep. 924C. Yep.
I know exactly what it is, man.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I did that, and so I was on probation. Like, I got caught in Texas, right? So I was on probation. Well, I was actually on parole from the state of Ohio when I caught the federal bank the bank robbery. And because I had a parole detainer, Ohio put a detainer on me, it gave me 7 extra security points. So I was always at USP status. I never got below USP status. So I did about 16 years. I did 16 years in the feds on USP status.
Damn.
And I've been like, I went to Beaumont, bloody Beaumont. And I remember, so let me tell you about my introduction into the feds, right? So now I got caught. I'm in Seagoville, Texas. It's a federal detention center. So it's like a jail. And I'm from Ohio. I remember I don't smoke. I don't really do anything. So at that place, you can only buy 2 cigarettes, like 2 packs of cigarettes. I think it was like 1 or 2 packs of cigarettes, whatever it was. But cigarettes only cost like $1.75 a pack. And I would catch dudes coming in and ask them if they smoked, and they'd be like, "Nah." And I say, "I give you $5 for your cigarettes." And they'd be like, "What?" And I give them $5 worth of commissary for their couple packs of cigarettes. And they thought that they thought I was stupid for doing that. But I'm selling cigarettes 2 for 1s, and I'm coming up. Long story short is I'm coming up. And so I ended up selling to this white dude, and he ended up owing me like 4 packs of cigarettes. And it was just so happens that he could get them. Like, I know that he can get them. So he went to commissary, and when he came back, he didn't have my cigarettes. And so I was like, "Dude, like, you ain't gonna pay me?" And he was like, "Man, I ain't got it, you know." And so I lit into him. I knocked him, hit him with a nice little crispy 3-piece, and knocked him out. Went to my cell. I was like, "Shoot, I'm paid now." You know, I ain't, because it really wasn't a loss. It was just the principle. So now people know you can't take my money and not suffer the consequences. Well, about 15 minutes later, here come these 3 white boys coming into the cell. And I know them. They from the block, you know, they on the block. And I'm like, "Dang, what's up?" And one of them got Peckerwood tattooed across his stomach. And he come in with his shirt off, and it says Peckerwood. And this another dude, he got this clover leaf on his heart or whatever. You know, and then I see another one, he got AB, you know, and I'm like, "Oh, here we go." So they was like, they call me Ohio because I'm in Texas, but I'm from Ohio, and I'm a hustler. And they was like, "Ohio," you know, everybody used to call me Ohio. So they come in, and he was like, "Listen, Ohio," he said, "the only reason we having this conversation is because you don't know no better." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Listen, you can't put your hands on no white people, man. You can't touch no white boys in here." And I said, "But he owed me some money." And they was like, "I don't care what he did. You, as a black dude, can't put your hands on none of these white boys in here." And I was like, "What?" And they was serious. Like, they was serious. Like, I was like, "Okay." You know, I said, "So what am I supposed to do?" And he was like, "Listen, anytime you have a problem with one of us, somebody, you know, one of the white boys in here, come to us. We'll deal with it." Right? He owed you what? Three packs of cigarettes? And I was like, "Yeah." 4, no, he owed me 4 packs of cigarettes. He was like, "Here." He gave me 8 packs of cigarettes. He was like, "Man, this is for the inconvenience, man, but we ain't got to deal with him no more. But just know that this is what it is." And that was my introduction to the politics of the federal system, because it's very political and it's very segregated, extremely segregated.